Welcome to TERAFLORA Studio, a space where the ordinary transforms into something extraordinary, and where every step through a garden can become a story whispered by the earth itself. Here, we believe pathways are not just for walking. They are for dreaming, for pausing, for feeling connected to the ground beneath your feet. Today, we invite you to discover ideas that turn simple materials, cement, wood, glass, and pebbles, into living art for your garden. Each design is not only practical but carries its own quiet poetry, evolving with time as moss, grass, and light weave their touch into the work. Imagine walking barefoot on cool stone, tracing patterns of wood and pebble, or seeing sunlight sparkle through recycled glass like jewels hidden in the soil. These pathways are more than decoration. They are companions to memory, creating moments of peace and wonder every time you step outside. We want to share something with honesty. This content has been carefully crafted with the help of AI. It is a tool that allows us to gather inspiration, organize ideas, and present them in a way that is clear and creative. But behind the technology, the vision is human, the love for gardens is real, and the hope is that these ideas inspire you to build beauty with your own hands. If you find joy in this journey, we warmly invite you to subscribe to TERAFLORA Studio. Your support allows us to keep weaving stories of nature, craft, and imagination, so that together, we can turn every garden into a place of peace and inspiration. Let us begin this walk, step by step, into the gentle art of pathways that tell stories beneath your feet. Sometimes beauty lies not in what we buy, but in what we save from being thrown away. Picture a garden path that feels alive both in the brightness of day and the stillness of night. Along the edges, recycled glass bottles are carefully set into a strip of cement, their bottoms gleaming like jewels half hidden in the soil. The trick is simple. Cut or collect the bottoms of bottles, green, amber, or clear, and press them into fresh cement poured along the pathway's edge. By keeping them flush with the ground, the surface remains smooth and safe to walk beside. In the morning sunlight, the colors come alive. Each step you take seems to shift the rainbow glimmers, like a kaleidoscope caught under your feet. The garden becomes playful, almost childlike, and visitors pause to admire the sparkle, as if they had stumbled upon a treasure chest tucked into the earth. Yet the magic doesn't stop when the sun sets. With a few glow-in-the-dark pebbles scattered between the bottles, or tiny solar lamps hidden beneath, the border becomes a quiet lantern. The path shines softly, guiding your way like a string of stars laid along the ground. The beauty of this project isn't only visual, it's also deeply sustainable. Every bottle that would have been tossed into the recycling bin or worse, into the trash, now finds a second life as part of your landscape. Children in the family can join the process, choosing their favorite bottle colors, pressing them gently into place, and seeing their imagination light up the garden. Over time, moss and grass may creep around the edges of the bottles, softening the line between cement and soil. This makes the border look like it has always belonged there, as if nature itself decided to decorate your garden with sparkling stones. Practicality hides within the charm too. The cement keeps the path strong, preventing soil erosion after rain. The bottles, being sealed and smooth, create no hazard, just beauty and durability combined. The result is more than a border. It's a story written with color and light, and every time you walk along the path at dusk, the glow reminds you that creativity turns the simplest waste into wonder. There is something timeless about walking through a garden path that feels both handmade and sturdy, like stepping across a piece of countryside brought into your own backyard. The rustic ladder wood cement pathway carries that charm effortlessly. Its design is simple, long strips of cement laid into the ground, with wooden planks resting snugly between them, just like the rungs of an old ladder stretched out across the earth. Building this path is not as difficult as it might appear. Begin by marking shallow trenches in the soil, laying them out evenly so the walkway feels balanced underfoot. Pour cement into alternating strips, smoothing each carefully so they lie flush with the ground. Once the cement has started to set, place flat wooden planks in the empty spaces, ensuring they sit level with the soil as well. The beauty of this design lies in its balance. Cement for strength, wood for warmth. Over time, nature plays its part. The cement remains strong and durable, protecting the walkway from erosion or heavy footsteps, while the wooden planks slowly age, weather, and eventually soften into the earth. As they do, tiny gaps appear, allowing rainwater to drain back into the soil and inviting moss or grass to sprout in the spaces. Instead of becoming worn out, the pathway evolves, transforming season by season into something more poetic. The experience of walking here is more than just moving across a yard. It feels like a story unfolding under your feet. The cool firmness of cement contrasts with the gentle texture of wood. In spring, little flowers may creep along the edges, softening the ladder lines into a pattern that looks alive. In autumn, fallen leaves settle between the planks, turning each step into a quiet, golden memory. It is also wonderfully practical. The flat, even surface makes it safe for children to run and play, for elderly family members to walk without fear of tripping, and for guests to stroll without dirtying shoes on wet soil. Maintenance is simple too. Replace the wooden planks when they decay, and the path renews itself like a living piece of furniture in your garden. What makes this rustic ladder walkway special is its honesty. It does not hide the process of time. Instead, it embraces it, showing that beauty does not fade but transforms. Every visit to the garden reminds you that impermanence is not something to fear. It is something to cherish. Imagine stepping into a garden where the ground beneath your feet becomes a playful game board, equal parts art and functionality. The checkerboard pebble cement pathway brings a sense of rhythm and joy into an outdoor space, transforming an ordinary walkway into a timeless piece of garden design. The process begins with preparation, but it does not require grand expertise, just patience and attention to detail. Square molds are set directly into the soil, each arranged side by side like the first moves in a game. Into one mold goes cement, smooth to a level finish, and into the next go river pebbles pressed gently but firmly into place. Alternating this way, a checkerboard takes form, not in black and white, but in the colors of nature. The pale gray of cement, the soft browns, creams, and grays of polished pebbles. When the sun strikes the path, the pebbles glisten faintly, their surfaces smooth from years in the riverbed. The cement, steady and strong, provides reliable footing. Together they make a pattern that feels alive, a simple design that draws the eye forward, urging you to walk and explore. Children especially love it. Each step feels like hopping across squares in a game, safe and delightful. What makes this pathway especially rewarding is the way it changes with the seasons. In summer, the alternating squares remain crisp and clean, highlighted by the bright light. In autumn, fallen leaves scatter across the board, softening the design into a patchwork of color. Over time, moss and tiny plants may sprout along the joints, turning the checkerboard into a living tapestry where nature and design play together. Beyond its beauty, the checkerboard path is deeply practical. The cement ensures durability, preventing mud or uneven footing after rain. The pebble squares, with their porous surface, allow water to seep back into the soil, helping the garden stay healthy. This natural balance between man-made strength and organic texture creates a walkway that is both sustainable and timeless. Building it is surprisingly approachable. River pebbles can be gathered locally or purchased, while the cement squares require only simple molds and a steady hand. Once laid flush with the soil, the path is safe, secure, and ready for daily use. Each time you walk this path, you feel as if you are moving across a piece of living art, one that welcomes both footsteps and the quiet touch of nature. It's a reminder that design doesn't have to be grand to be extraordinary. Sometimes, the simplest patterns bring the deepest joy. Some pathways guide you forward, others invite you inward. The spiral mosaic light trail does both, transforming a garden into a place of wonder and quiet reflection. Instead of a straight walk across the lawn, this path curves gently, winding like a story that unfolds step by step. The design begins with a spiral outline traced into the soil, a simple gesture that instantly changes the feel of the space. Into this trench, Cement is poured carefully, shaped to follow the graceful curve. Before it hardens, recycled glass bottle bottoms, green, amber, clear, even painted shades, are pressed into the surface. Each piece becomes a jewel, catching the sun during the day and reflecting it like a mosaic of light. Walking here feels less like crossing a garden and more like entering a meditation. Your feet follow the spiral, step after step, and the world outside seems to slow. Children are often drawn to the curve instinctively, tracing it like a playful labyrinth. Adults find themselves pausing, watching the way sunlight dances across the glass, or how evening shadows gather between the lines. With a few solar lamps hidden beneath, the spiral glows softly at night, like a quiet lantern curled into the earth. This pathway is not just art, it is practical as well. The cement provides durability, keeping the walk level and safe. The glass sits flush with the surface, so there are no edges to trip on. Over time, moss and grass may creep into the spaces between the spiral lines, softening the edges and giving the path an aged, storybook feel. Rather than fading, the design evolves, each season adding texture and depth. The beauty of this spiral is also in its accessibility. The materials are simple: cement, glass bottles, a mold or trench dug into the ground. No advanced tools are needed, only patience and imagination. For families, it can become a shared project. Children collecting bottles, adults shaping the spiral, everyone watching as the mosaic comes to life. At its heart, the spiral mosaic light trail is a celebration of cycles, of walking, of time, of nature itself. Each loop reminds us that life does not always move in straight lines. Sometimes, the most beautiful journeys are the ones that turn us gently inward, showing that creativity can transform even the ground beneath our feet into poetry. Every tree holds its history within its rings, lines etched by seasons of growth, rain, and sunlight. Imagine walking on a path that carries those quiet stories beneath your feet. The forest ring log steppers bring that sense of memory and time into your garden, creating a walkway that feels both rustic and poetic. This pathway begins with round molds filled with cement, each disc about the size of a log slice. While the cement is still wet, cross-sections of real logs can be pressed into the surface, leaving their patterns behind even if the wood eventually fades away. Some makers even leave thin slices of wood embedded in the cement, knowing that as the years pass, they will weather, soften, and slowly return to the earth, leaving behind textured impressions. Placed flush with the soil, these discs sit evenly with the ground, making them safe to walk on barefoot or with shoes. Set in sequence, they resemble stepping stones scattered across a woodland floor. Grass and moss naturally fill the gaps between them, softening the arrangement until it looks as though the path had always been there, waiting to be discovered. Walking along this path feels different from any ordinary walkway. Each step rests on a circle that whispers of tree trunks and forest floors. Children love to hop from one to another, counting the rings as though they were secret puzzles. Adults find themselves slowing down, pausing to notice the textures, the way sunlight and shadow move across the discs, the quiet sense of time layered into the design. Practicality supports the beauty. The cement ensures durability, resisting weather and weight, while the impressions provide gentle traction. Rainwater drains naturally between the stones, keeping the path free of puddles. Maintenance is simple: replace or adjust discs as needed, or let the moss and grass weave them further into the landscape. The forest ring log steppers are also wonderfully versatile. They can form a full garden path or a scattered trail that winds playfully through flowers and shrubs. Each disc becomes more beautiful with age, proving that time does not diminish design but enriches it. This pathway is a reminder that the past is always underfoot, that growth leaves its mark not only in trees, but in the lives we build around them. Every ring you step upon carries the echo of a forest, brought gently into your own backyard. A quilt is made of different pieces stitched together to tell a larger story. Imagine if a garden pathway could do the same, blending contrasting textures into a surface that feels both playful and timeless. The patchwork nature slabs turn the ordinary ground beneath your feet into a living mosaic, each step offering something new to see and feel. To begin, flat slabs of cement are poured in various shapes and sizes. While the cement is still soft, natural elements are pressed into the surface to create variety. One slab might hold strips of bark, capturing the grain and texture of wood. Another may be smoothed to perfection, a quiet contrast to its neighbors. A third could be filled with tiny pebbles, pressed tightly together to sparkle in the sunlight. Once the slabs have set, they are arranged across the soil like a patchwork, every piece different yet harmonious in the whole. The magic of this design lies in its irregularity. No two slabs are exactly alike, and no two steps feel the same. Walking across the path, you might feel the cool smoothness of cement, then the subtle ridges of bark, then the playful crunch of pebbles underfoot. The effect is not only tactile but visual, a rustic quilt stitched with Earth's own materials. Over time, nature joins the design. Bark elements weather and soften, eventually fading into the cement but leaving behind textured impressions. Moss grows in the seams, softening the joins between slabs. Rainwater drains gently into the gaps, keeping the garden healthy while enhancing the natural look. What was once a deliberate arrangement begins to look as though it has always belonged, a path grown out of the ground itself. This pathway is more than a functional walkway, it is a canvas for creativity. Each slab can become an experiment. Families can make it personal. Children might press leaves into the cement to leave fossil-like imprints, while adults experiment with stone mosaics or even seashells collected from the beach. No two gardens will ever have the same path, because no two patchworks are ever identical. The patchwork nature slabs remind us that imperfection can be beautiful. Variety creates richness, and contrasts bring balance. Every walk along this path becomes a reminder that life itself is a patchwork. Smooth moments beside rough ones, light beside shadow, all of them coming together into something unexpectedly harmonious. There is a special kind of peace that comes from walking beside a river, the sense of flow, of time moving gently forward. The riverbed driftwood crossing captures that feeling, bringing the spirit of a stream into your own garden. This pathway does not simply lead you from one place to another. It makes each step feel like crossing a gentle current of nature. The design begins with a trench shaped in curves, never straight, to mimic the meandering flow of water. Into this trench, cement is poured in strips that wind gracefully across the soil. While the cement is still soft, it is smooth flat, ensuring it sits level with the ground. Once set, these strips look like ribbons of stone water frozen mid-flow. Between them, driftwood planks are placed as tiny bridges, their organic shapes adding warmth and rustic character to the scene. Along the edges, smooth river pebbles are scattered, their roundness echoing the banks of a stream. With time, moss and small plants creep between the stones, softening the pattern until it looks like a woodland riverbed brought to life. Each step feels deliberate, not rushed, as though the garden is guiding you to slow down, breathe, and listen. Walking this path is an experience. The cement offers stability and safety, making the walkway practical even after rain. The driftwood, though it will eventually weather and break down, adds charm and creates subtle drainage gaps as it fades. The pebbles, meanwhile, invite you to look closer. Children might collect the smoothest ones. Adults might pause to notice the play of sunlight across their surfaces. The path becomes more than ground to walk on. It becomes a story unfolding under your feet. Building the riverbed crossing is wonderfully approachable. Driftwood can be collected from beaches, lakes, or even old fallen branches in the garden. Pebbles can be bought or gathered locally. The curves of the cement can be shaped freely, leaving room for creativity. Each path is unique. No two rivers ever flow the same. In the end, this design is both rustic and poetic. It shows that a garden is not just a place of plants, but a place of imagination. A simple walk across this path feels like crossing a stream of memory, where every piece of wood, stone, and moss tells a quiet story of time and flow. Borders are often overlooked, yet they quietly shape the mood of a garden. The zigzag vintage edge is one of those small design details that transforms a simple walkway into something charming and full of character. With alternating angles of cement and wood, this border feels like a frame, rustic, practical, and alive with personality. To create it, a shallow trench is first dug along the edge of the pathway. Into this, cement is poured in angled sections, forming a repeating zigzag. Between these cement shapes, strips of wood are inserted, creating a rhythm of natural warmth against the solid strength of stone. Once everything sets flush with the soil, the edge becomes seamless, safe, and ready to stand the test of time. The beauty of this design lies in its evolution. The cement remains durable, a strong foundation for years to come. The wood, however, is destined to change. Slowly, with rain and sun, it weathers and breaks down, leaving subtle grooves along the zigzag. These grooves are not flaws. They become tiny channels that let rainwater drain back into the soil, keeping the garden healthy. With time, moss or creeping plants fill the lines, softening the sharp edges and giving the border a vintage, time-worn feel. Walking beside such a path feels different from one with plain, straight edges. The zigzag catches your eye, guiding your steps with gentle rhythm. In the morning, sunlight casts delicate shadows across the angles, making the border feel alive. At dusk, the softened lines seem to melt into the earth, like a memory fading beautifully. This border also invites creativity. The cement can be tinted with natural pigments, the wood chosen from driftwood, reclaimed timber, or even bamboo. Families might let children press leaves or small stones into the wet cement, leaving behind playful imprints. Over time, the border tells a layered story, not just of craft, but of everyone who shaped it. Practicality is woven into its charm. It keeps soil neatly framed, prevents grass from creeping too far into the walkway, and directs rain away naturally. Yet beyond function, it offers a reminder that beauty often rests in small details. The zigzag vintage edge proves that a border is not merely a boundary. It is a celebration of rhythm, change, and the gentle dance between strength and nature. Who would imagine that something as ordinary as a bottle cap could become art beneath your feet? The bottle cap pop inlay path takes what most people discard and transforms it into a playful mosaic, turning a garden walkway into a joyful burst of color. It is proof that creativity doesn't always require expensive materials. Sometimes, beauty lies hidden in the simplest objects. The process begins with cement slabs poured directly into the soil, keeping each flush with the ground to ensure safety and stability. While the cement is still wet, bottle caps are pressed firmly into the surface. Some are left as they are, their metallic shine catching the light. Others can be painted in bold, weather-resistant colors, reds, blues, yellows, that brighten the path like confetti scattered across the earth. Patterns can be playful and free, from random scatterings to spirals, waves, or even checker-like arrangements. When the sun strikes, the caps shimmer with unexpected brilliance. Children are often delighted, hopping across the path to follow the colors as though stepping on a treasure map. Adults smile at the ingenuity, a pathway that feels lighthearted, personal, and eco-friendly all at once. At night, small solar lamps can add a gentle glow, making the colors pop even in the darkness. Beyond its charm, this design is deeply sustainable. Every bottle cap pressed into the cement is one less piece of waste tossed aside. Families can collect them together, turning what might be trash into a shared creative project. It becomes more than just a path. It becomes a memory of afternoons painting caps, of arranging them into patterns, of watching the walkway slowly come to life. With time, nature softens the boldness. Moss and grass creep around the slabs, framing the patterns in green. The bright colors stand out even more against the natural backdrop, creating a living artwork that changes with the seasons. Maintenance is simple. Replace or repaint caps as needed, and the pathway refreshes itself like a canvas waiting for new ideas. The bottle cap pop inlay path reminds us that joy doesn't have to be grand. Sometimes it's found in the smallest, overlooked details. Each step across the path is a step across imagination, a celebration of color, sustainability, and the quiet delight of turning the everyday into something extraordinary. Imagine walking along a path where each step reveals a tiny world beneath your feet, like miniature crystal ponds hidden in plain sight. The transparent pebble wells bring that magic into your garden, blending practicality with a sense of wonder that catches the eye and sparks the imagination. This design begins with shallow circular molds filled with cement, each intended to sit flush with the soil for safe, even footing. While the cement is still soft, clear glass bottle bottoms are pressed into the surface, their smooth edges aligned perfectly with the cement to ensure comfort and safety. Beneath these glass windows, colorful pebbles are placed, glowing like hidden gems when sunlight pours across the garden. The effect is enchanting. In the morning light, the wells sparkle as though tiny streams of water run beneath the glass. Children often stop to crouch and peer inside, marveling at the colors shining through. Adults, too, find themselves slowing down, their steps becoming more deliberate as if the pathway invites them to notice what lies beneath. At dusk, with a few small solar lamps placed nearby, the glass catches and reflects the glow, turning the wells into soft lanterns guiding the way. Beyond their beauty, the transparent pebble wells are practical and eco-friendly. The cement ensures durability, while the embedded glass and pebbles recycle everyday objects into functional art. Rainwater slips easily around the discs into the soil, and over time moss and grass may creep around the edges, framing each well in green and giving the pathway a vintage, timeless appearance. This project also invites creativity. Families can choose different pebble colors, blue for the feeling of water, amber for warmth, or even mixed tones for a playful rainbow effect. Children can take part in selecting stones, making the process personal and memorable. Every well becomes unique, reflecting not just the garden but the hands that created it. The transparent pebble wells remind us that beauty often comes from seeing deeper, looking beyond the surface to discover the hidden colors of the world. Each step is a reminder that even the smallest details, when given attention, can transform the way we move through our everyday spaces. It is more than a walkway. It is a story told through glass, stone, and light. Sometimes the most extraordinary designs come from the simplest household items. The sand pocket resin windows are proof of that. A pathway where everyday zip bags, colorful sand, and resin are transformed into small glowing windows beneath your feet. It's a design that feels playful and imaginative, like discovering hidden artworks in the ground. The process begins by pouring flat cement slabs that will eventually sit flush with the soil. Before the cement sets, small recessed spaces are prepared, into which sealed pockets of sand or resin are placed. These inserts can be filled with fine-colored sand, smooth gravel, or even tiny decorative stones. Once the cement cures, the pockets remain like little glassy windows locked into the surface, safe to walk on yet magical to behold. In daylight, the sand catches the sun, glowing softly in shades of red, gold, blue, or green. Each step feels like crossing over a miniature landscape, as though fragments of desert, beach, or riverbeds have been preserved beneath the glass. Children love to spot the colors, choosing favorites, while adults appreciate the surprising artistry hidden in such a practical surface. At night, small solar lights nearby can enhance the effect, turning the resin windows into glowing accents. The path does not simply guide your steps. It tells tiny stories with every slab, stories of color, memory, and creativity. Beyond its beauty, this design is deeply sustainable and personal. Instead of purchasing new materials, you can reuse items at home. Leftover sand from children's crafts, small shells collected from a holiday, or even colored stones can be sealed into these pockets. Each piece becomes unique, a personal diary pressed into the earth, waiting to be rediscovered with every walk through the garden. Over time, moss and grass may grow around the slabs, softening the edges and giving the pathway an aged, storybook feel. Yet the windows themselves remain bright, little sparks of color embedded into the ground. Maintenance is easy. The cement holds strong, and the resin protects the contents, leaving the design both practical and long-lasting. The sand pocket resin windows remind us that beauty is often about perspective. What we usually overlook, sand, tiny stones, even a simple plastic bag, can become extraordinary when given a frame. Walking this path feels like stepping across hidden treasures, each one reminding us that creativity can turn even the smallest details into joy. Some designs are beautiful because of their balance, where each material plays its part like instruments in a melody. The wood pebble sandwich strips create such harmony, combining the durability of cement, the warmth of wood, and the natural charm of pebbles into a pathway that feels both sturdy and alive. The process begins with shallow trenches prepared in the soil. Into these, wide strips of cement are poured, forming the foundation. Once smoothed and leveled with the ground, wooden slats are placed neatly along the edges, and in between them, river pebbles are layered like the filling of a sandwich. The result is a pattern of alternating textures: solid cement, rustic wood, and sparkling stones that sits flush with the earth, safe and natural underfoot. Walking across this pathway is an experience of contrasts. The cement offers strength and security, grounding each step. The wood introduces warmth, reminding you of countryside cottages and timeless craftsmanship. And the pebbles, cool and rounded, give a playful crunch beneath your feet, as if the earth itself were part of the design. Children find joy hopping from one texture to another, while adults admire the quiet rhythm of the layout. Over time, the wood begins to weather, slowly softening and decomposing. This is not a flaw but a gift, as it leaves behind drainage gaps that keep the soil beneath healthy. Moss and small plants creep into the spaces, turning the pathway into a living design that evolves with every season. By autumn, fallen leaves gather between the layers, creating a natural patchwork of color. By spring, green shoots rise gently, softening the lines with new life. Practicality is woven into its charm. The cement keeps the structure strong, preventing erosion after rain. The pebbles allow water to drain naturally, avoiding puddles. The wood, even as it ages, provides character and balance. Together they form not just a walkway but a system where function and beauty intertwine. This design also encourages creativity. Families can choose darker or lighter woods, polished or rough pebbles, even colored stones for added vibrancy. Each choice changes the mood of the path, making it uniquely personal. The wood pebble sandwich strips remind us that strength does not have to be rigid, and beauty does not have to be fragile. By blending different textures into one, the pathway becomes a living tapestry, practical, poetic, and quietly timeless. There is a certain charm in contrasts, the way strength and softness, permanence and change can live side by side. The brick and timber patch mix celebrates this harmony, weaving bricks and wooden blocks together into a path that feels as though it belongs to a countryside estate, aged yet timeless. The design begins with a level trench laid across the garden, shaped carefully so the walkway runs steady and smooth. Into this trench, cement bricks are placed in alternating rhythm with square or rectangular timber blocks. Each sits flush with the soil, creating a patchwork of textures. The cool, solid firmness of brick beside the warm, rustic grain of wood. At first, the pattern is crisp, deliberate, and strong. But over time, nature adds her own hand, softening the lines and turning the walkway into something more poetic. Walking across this path is like walking through a story. The bricks anchor your steps, unyielding and steady, while the timber carries a warmth that feels almost personal, as if it remembers the trees it once came from. As seasons pass, the wood begins to weather, its surface cracking gently, its color fading into silvery tones. Instead of diminishing the design, this aging process creates subtle drainage lines, letting water seep back into the earth and encouraging moss or grass to sprout in the joints. The result is a path that does not resist time but welcomes it, evolving with each season. The practical benefits are just as meaningful. The bricks ensure strength and durability, keeping the path safe for daily use. The wooden blocks provide variety underfoot, a natural softness against the hardness of stone. Together they balance each other, creating a walkway that is both functional and inviting. This design is also wonderfully versatile. Bricks can be chosen in warm red tones for a classic look, or in muted grays for something more subtle. Timber can be reclaimed, bringing history into the garden, or fresh, ready to tell a new story as it ages. Families might even experiment with patterns, diagonal arrangements, checker styles, or patchwork quilts of different sizes, each choice adding personality to the path. The brick and timber patch mix reminds us that beauty is not in perfection but in partnership. It shows how two materials, one enduring and one ever-changing, can come together to create something both practical and deeply poetic. Every step across this path is a step across that balance, a quiet conversation between strength and time. Every garden needs balance. Beauty to delight the eye and practicality to care for the soil. The bottleneck drainage dots achieve both, transforming simple recycled bottles into a walkway design that sparkles with color while keeping the ground healthy. It is a project that proves even the most ordinary objects can serve a new, meaningful purpose. The process begins with flat cement slabs prepared to sit level with the soil. Before the cement hardens, glass bottles are pressed upside down into the surface, their necks pointing into the earth, their flat bottoms visible on top. Once cured, these glass circles sit securely within the cement, resembling a series of shining dots scattered along the path. Each bottleneck acts as a tiny drainage well, channeling rainwater into the ground instead of letting it pool on the surface. The result is enchanting. In daylight, the glass dots catch and reflect the sun, glowing softly in hues of green, amber, or clear crystal. They look almost like jewels hidden within the cement, playful yet practical. As moss and grass begin to grow around the edges, the design softens, gaining a vintage charm that feels as though the path has always belonged to the garden. After a rain, droplets linger on the glass circles, sparkling like little ponds that light up beneath your feet. Walking along this pathway feels different from any ordinary walk. Each step is punctuated by a glimmer, a reminder that recycling can be both functional and artistic. Children often enjoy hopping from dot to dot, treating them like stepping stones of color. Adults admire the ingenuity of turning waste into design, and visitors are often surprised by the subtle beauty hidden in such a humble idea. Practicality is woven into every detail. The cement slabs ensure strength and safety, flush with the soil for even footing. The inverted bottles create long-lasting drainage points that keep the earth nourished. Over time, even as the surrounding plants weave themselves into the pattern, the glass remains strong, adding both sparkle and sustainability. The bottleneck drainage dots remind us that design doesn't have to separate form from function. It can embrace both at once, creating something that serves the garden while telling a story of renewal. Each step across this path is a reminder that even the smallest discarded items can shine again when imagination gives them purpose. Every garden deserves an entrance that feels like a gentle invitation, a threshold where nature and craft meet to welcome you inside. The bark-framed gate entry creates such a moment, a pathway that begins not with plain stone but with rustic charm, as if the earth itself were extending a warm embrace. The process is simple yet filled with artistry. Cement slabs are poured to form the entryway, each one smoothed so it sits level with the soil. While the cement is still fresh, strips of tree bark are pressed along the edges, forming natural frames around each slab. When the cement hardens, the bark becomes part of the design, leaving behind patterns that are textured, earthy, and unmistakably organic. At first, the border looks crisp and rustic, the dark bark contrasting beautifully with the pale strength of cement. Over time, the bark begins to weather, softening in tone and slowly decomposing. But instead of disappearing, it leaves behind impressions. Delicate grooves that act as drainage lines, guiding rainwater back into the earth. Around these edges, moss and tiny flowers often sprout, blurring the line between craft and nature until the path feels like it has grown from the soil itself. Walking through such a gate feels like entering a storybook garden. In the morning, sunlight catches on the textures, highlighting the lines of the bark as though each one were an artist's brushstroke. In the evening, shadows deepen the grooves, making the threshold glow with quiet mystery. Guests who pass through often pause, drawn to the detail, sensing that they are stepping into a space designed not only with practicality but with poetry. The charm lies not just in its beauty but also in its function. The cement keeps the slabs durable and safe for countless steps. The bark, while temporary, brings warmth and authenticity, turning something solid into something soulful. As it weathers, the entryway evolves, a reminder that nothing in nature is fixed but always changing, always alive. This bark-framed gate entry is more than a walkway. It is a welcome mat made of earth and imagination. It reminds us that beginnings matter, that even the first step into a garden can carry meaning. Every threshold tells a story. This one whispers of trees, time, and the gentle art of making ordinary materials extraordinary. And so, we arrive at the end of our gentle walk through pathways shaped by imagination and simple hands. Each design we explored reminds us that beauty is not always about perfection or grandeur. It often lives in the quiet details, in the glow of glass beneath sunlight, in the soft moss creeping between stones, and in the warmth of wood slowly weathering with time. Your garden is not only a space to cross. It is a canvas, a sanctuary, and a storyteller. With cement, wood, and pebbles, you can weave textures of strength and fragility, permanence and change. These pathways are not only steps across the earth but bridges into memory, where every curve and border holds a whisper of nature's poetry. At TERAFLORA Studio, our hope is to offer you inspiration that feels real and attainable, ideas that encourage you to shape beauty with your own hands. The designs you have seen are not distant dreams. They are possibilities waiting to be brought to life in your backyard. Each creation can be as personal as your own story, as unique as the touch of your family, and as enduring as the seasons that pass. If this journey has brought you a moment of peace or sparked an idea in your heart, we warmly invite you to subscribe to TERAFLORA Studio. With every subscription, you help us continue sharing stories of gardens, nature, and creative transformations. Together, we can keep building spaces that are not only seen with the eyes, but also felt with the soul. Until our next walk, may your steps always find harmony with the earth beneath, and may your garden continue to bloom with inspiration, one pathway at a time.